So you're moving to Tennessee. I'm going to tell you the 7 worst things about living in Nashville, Tennessee. Something that probably you've not heard before. Something that I really maybe haven't even thought of, but from a newcomer's perspective. Today, I talked to several of my recent new transplantees to Nashville, Tennessee. I'm going to tell you what they said about the 7 worst things about moving to Nashville, and they wish they'd known. You need to stick around. Hey, if you're new to my channel, I'm Susan Thetford. I'm a lifelong Nashvillian and a lifelong realtor. My show here talks about all things Nashville, about moving to Nashville, living in Nashville, the good, bad, the ugly, best cities, best suburbs, location, shows you that, all kinds of everything. I think you need to know this information if you're considering a move to Nashville. Do what so many other people have done. Reach out to me, call, text, email, send up a carrier pigeon. Don't sing any songs, and I promise I won't sing back to you. Let me know how I can help you if you're thinking of that move to Nashville. So as I promised, I'm going to give you 7 worst things about living in Nashville, Tennessee from the perspective of a newcomer. And I'll probably add in something, 1 or 2 of my own thoughts, because as a lifelong Nashvillian, I know some of the worst things that they maybe not have even run into yet. Number 7, worst thing. Several people mentioned this. It's kind of hard to make friends. Now, Nashville is a super friendly area. People say that all the time. We have the Southern charm and we're super, super friendly. We're going to hold the door open for you. Gentlemen are going to take their hats off when they enter the room. They're going to say please and thank you. All those things happen. But you know how it is. If you move into a new area, it can be kind of hard to make new friends because people already have kind of their circle. Now, I'm one of those people. I want all my good friends to meet all my other friends, and that just makes the circles bigger. But sometimes it's tough. My suggestion, and this has been what they've found too. If you are interested in moving to Nashville, many people are interested because they want to find a church family. Find that church family. Go to several different places to check it out. What are things that you enjoy doing? Is it dancing? I have a line dancing friend who came from Portland, Oregon, and she's found a place that she goes line dancing every single week. What are the things you enjoy? Another one recently just told me that she's joined a pickleball group. Now, I don't play pickleball. Sounds like a lot of fun. Other areas of the country play a whole lot of that, but we have a lot of pickleball here. So what is it that you enjoy? What do you enjoy doing? Are you an outdoors person? There are hiking clubs, there are meetup groups, church groups. What do you enjoy doing? And you're going to find like-minded people there. But Nashville can be a little difficult. Don't wait for someone to invite you. If you meet someone fun, maybe at a pickleball game, you get their contact information, call them up, say, hey, would you like to go have lunch before the next game? Reach out to people. They're happy to reach out to you. And sometimes we might be a little, that's kind of inconsiderate maybe to not think of inviting you to our group. Go ahead, invite yourself on in. Number 6, mentioned all the time, and this may be surprising to many of you. Nashville's not walkable. We really aren't. We don't have many places that are walkable. Nashville is pretty much a very spread out city unless you're immediately downtown or immediately in the Gulch area. Maybe 5 Points in East Nashville. But unless you live right in the center of those areas, 8th Avenue on down toward, maybe more like 6th Avenue on down toward the river, if you're center downtown, and that's in a high-rise condominium buildings. But if you're in single-family homes, for the most part, you absolutely are going to need a car. You need a car to get to the grocery, and nobody's going to have a grocery maybe 10, 15 minutes max, unless you're really far out in the boonies. And if you want that, I can find that for you too. Reach out to me. But if you want to be within a 15-minute or so drive of the grocery, you're not going to want to catch an Uber to go to the grocery all the time. And you're certainly going to want to have a car to get into the fun things that are downtown, or all the wonderful things like parks and weekend trips that you can do all around Middle Tennessee. You're certainly going to want a car to really take in some of the best things that Tennessee and Nashville has to offer. But we really don't have good transportation. We have buses that don't go everywhere. If you're in the Mount Juliet area, we do have the passenger train that takes you from Mount Juliet into downtown if you work down there. That might be a fun way to regularly commute, but you're going to need a car here. I don't see any time in the near future of getting any kind of good light rail transit that will take you all over the city. It comes up a lot. It's really being explored, but I just don't see that happening anytime soon. I had some friends recently moved here from New Jersey, helped them find a home. They originally said they had to be walking distance because neither one drives a car. They're in their, I guess, late 30s. Can't imagine it. They don't have a car. Well, they now have a car. They've both learned how to drive. It's really explored a whole new area for them, and they're loving it. But that car is going to be an expense. If you don't have one, you're going to need one. So as promised, I'm going to include a thing or two of my own. The sun is so bright, I can't go without sunglasses. This is killing me. My eyes are watering, they're running. I've got actually allergies. I've talked about those in the past. Check out one of these videos. It talks to you all about allergies and some of the weather things that go about Nashville. But for me, constantly, I have to have my sunglasses on when it's bright. It's just my eyes. See? It just looks like I'm crying. I promise I'm not. So let's jump back into what other people have told me. So number 5, tourism. This was a surprise to me, but I kind of get it. Nashville is a tourism industry. Tourism, service industry, music, they all kind of work together. And Nashville is an enormous tourism, that's a big part of our income annually. But that can bring some of its own problems. So the big tourism area is, you can be walking down on Lower Broadway trying to get to one of the favorite restaurants or go up to some of the fun honky-tonks, rooftop bars. But you can be elbow to elbow to people, and the later in the evening it gets, even more tighter it is, and it can be a little disconcerting. I get it. That's kind of a negative. But let me think about or share with you where those places are that do get pretty congested with tourism. And it's not many places. You can avoid them easily. Lower Broad, down that river area, 5th Avenue on down to the river does get very, very congested. Down on Lower Broadway, from the Predators place where they play ice hockey on down, can get very, very crowded. And that's just the way it is. I would never drive my car down there, especially during any time. Put it that way, anytime at nighttime. Let me give you a tip. That's an area that you want to stay away from if you just can't stand tons and tons of people. Another area that more during the daytime that gets very congested is over in the Gulch area and down on 12th Avenue, which is where there's a whole lot of the paintings on the walls, the murals on the walls that people like to do their Instagram pictures and all that type of thing. A lot of walking tourism traffic there too. It's not bad. It just takes a little bit of time to get through. That Lower Broad area is the worst. Beyond that, you're not going to know who's tourists and who's not. It's just, it's not that big of a deal. But it was surprising because each one of these people who mentioned it to me have had a lot of people come to Nashville to come visit, and they've spent a lot of time down there just being tourists. And that seemed a little obnoxious. Let me give you a tip. If you are going to go down to Broadway, I would drive my car to a place maybe 1 mile, 2 miles away, park at a place where you don't have to pay for parking, because I hate paying parking, and then Uber into where you want to go, get an Uber to get yourself out back to your car and be on your merry way. Number 4 most mentioned thing to me was the fact we just don't really have many sidewalks when you're out of the inner city area. They never were a need at the time. Now, many people coming from some big cities are used to sidewalks everywhere. Something that's really funny someone's noticed, and it's changing, but someone noticed for me, not only do you all not have sidewalks, it's really weird because there might be a sidewalk and then it just stops. It doesn't go anywhere left and right. Well, the reason for that is this. There are new restrictions in that whenever someone remodels a home or they take down an older home and put a new home up, they have to, in many cases, tie into the sewer in case they hadn't already done that, but they always have to add a piece of sidewalk on their lot, all the way from lot line to lot line as it faces the road. So with that in mind, someone may have taken down a house, they built a new house, there's now a sidewalk right there on that little strip, but there's none to the right and there's none to the left. Eventually, something will happen with those and it will continue to grow, and maybe 50 years from now, you're going to see sidewalks everywhere. Until then, one, that's a big expense, and you wouldn't believe how expensive it is for builders and developers to put in sidewalks, but it is. But that's one of the reasons we really are not walkable. Back to you need that car. Don't think there's going to be any rapid transit anytime soon. Buses are not a big situation of taking you many places, and we're not walkable. However, we do have hundreds of miles of greenways throughout, not just Nashville, but the Williamson counties and the outer counties. We've got so many parks, Percy Warner, Edwin Warner, Shelby, Crockett, so many state parks. As you can see, I found myself a place anytime I have a couple extra hours, maybe bring my lunch. And this is a little park that's kind of a little jewel in, it's the Arboretum in Brentwood. And not many people know about it. It's a little jewel. I love to come sit here, have lunch under the shelter. And those are just some of the things you need to reach out for me so we know the nuances of the areas. And those are kind of the things that I ask about when we talk. What do you love to do? How far do you want to be from work? What are the things that you really enjoy doing so I can make your new community be the most advantageous for you and all the things that you love? Reach out to me. Number 3, biggest thing that surprises people and worst things about Nashville is our housing market is not cheap. As a matter of fact, it's expensive, depending on, of course, where you're coming from. If you're coming from New York and the Bronx or Manhattan, if you're coming from parts of Los Angeles, depending on where you're coming from, we are inexpensive. But I can promise you, probably not as inexpensive as you might think. 3 years ago, we were. But with 20, 25, 30% appreciation for the last 2 years, and I don't care what some of the national things are saying, in the Middle Tennessee area, those prices are not going down, they're just flattening. Those increases have really increased. So, you may be coming from Los Angeles and have $1 million property and it's only 1,300 square feet. You're coming here and that $1 million property is going to give you a lot more square footage, but to be in the areas that you want to be, it's not going to be 3 and 4 and 500,000, as I've found some people want to have. Also, we're finding that people come here and say, I only have 1,200 square feet, say in California, and I don't mean to be picking on them, but it's just a recent conversation. I only have 1,200 to 1,400 square feet. I have a 3-bedroom house, and I also have a daydo. I want to have a 4-bedroom house here and an office, and I want a daydo. You're not getting that here. Our zoning doesn't allow that in 99.9% of the places. That term I never even heard of before. There are nuances. We can do different things depending on what you need. That's why that conversation is so necessary. But let's talk about some averages of home prices. The average home price in Nashville this summer, 2023, is $435,000. Now I'm really finding it to be more like $485,000 in the 8-county SMSA. Please consider the fact that that has some of the most $10 million, $20 million, $30 million homes on it, and there are some with big acreage, especially when you get to Williamson County, or especially when you get to riverfront dockside acreage with a mansion on it. So, some of those numbers really are skewed by those giant numbers. But, if you want to be at that $485,000 price point and you need 4 bedrooms and you want 3,500 square feet and you want the best school district, it's not going to be in Brentwood or Franklin or certain areas of Nashville, Davidson County. I may pull you a little bit further out to get the 3 must-haves that you have on your list. Can you see how this kind of conversation is very valuable to you? But when the average home price is in the mid 400s, our rents are running about $1,200 a month. Again, very, very average. And that would be maybe a 3-bedroom out in the Bellevue community out west. If you want a 1-bedroom efficiency in a high-rise downtown in the Gulch or maybe off of Capitol, then you're going to maybe get 600 square feet. It's going to be about $200 to $250 a square foot. Now, that's luxury. That's not just a place to stay. It's luxury. It might have parking. It might not. Nuances. If you're looking to rent, that's not something that I do, but I do have the experts who are renters that I could easily refer you to. Yet another reason. The number 2 worst thing about living in Nashville has come up quite a bit, and I'm going to agree with this one. I just hadn't thought of it. But it's changed dramatically, is bad drivers. I'll tell you, Nashville used to be considered slow drivers, and they talk about grannies not using your blinkers. I'll tell you, an awful lot of older people, and I have to put myself there, which is crazy now, an awful lot of older people won't even get on the interstates. But what we're finding on the interstates in the last couple of years is bad drivers, and I can promise you, they've come from other places where they learn that you've got to go speed up as fast as you can, dart in and do like a 90-degree angle, scoot into traffic, come around the other way, go. Forget that darting back and forth. That bad driver, if you see it when you're here, didn't live here a year ago. I get it. I've traveled in New Jersey, I've traveled to New York, I've traveled to places in California where it is dog eat dog. It's not the way here. We don't need that here. It's going to cause problems. Other thing, we merge our traffic into the interstate, which we call an interstate, not a freeway. I really need to do something about changes in terminology, but we merge onto, and you don't have the right to merge. You've got to give the other person the right of way, and you merge into it. Tell you, if I've seen it once, I've seen it 5 times, and I saw it yesterday. I was on the interstate. It was about 4 p.m. It wasn't terribly crowded, but it was traffic moving along, good 60, 65 miles an hour. Somebody came up behind me, shoot, right through, cut in front of me, went all the way across 2 lanes of traffic, because it was a 4-lane traffic, 2 lanes of traffic, started going up the far right-hand side, darted back inside, went all the way over to the inner corner, just was flying. Had to have been 80, no, had to have been 90, flying. Kept on going. I thought, that guy's going to cause a wreck. Well, he actually did. He ended up flipping. I saw him about 4 miles up the road, and he certainly didn't get anywhere faster. You're not going to get anywhere faster. Just put on your blinker. People will let you in, wave back to them. And yeah, our drivers are bad, but they're new people coming here. I promise you. So immediately people tell me I'm going to change my license plate because I know people in Nashville don't like newcomers. We love newcomers, but we love polite newcomers. So take that as just a word for the wise. But bad traffic, bad drivers, it's becoming a problem. And number 1, I totally agree. I've had this issue. I've talked to people about it all the time. The number 1 worst thing about Nashville, especially if you're in the Davidson County, is in general, we don't have good schools. We may be called the Athens of the South, and we are. And we have so many, Vanderbilt University, Belmont, lots of universities, great private schools, so much great education right here, but our public school system in general is not good. If you have children there are magnet schools, and you can get into those magnet schools for science and arts and really good magnet schools, but it's a lottery system. There are pockets of good schools, but if I had to talk generalities, our public school system is not great. We're having a whole lot of people because of both political reasons and all kinds of reasons, but our homeschooling world in Nashville has really grown to a large extent, and there's some great homeschool, I guess I call it pods, that I can direct you to, that many people are joining and absolutely loving, where there are teachers who are retired and they are teaching in a homeschool kind of setting. So it's not all on your shoulders as a parent, but it's the fact. As much money is thrown at the public school system, I'm always going to be honest with you, it's not great. Now, if you wanted to have me tell you where are the best public schools in Nashville, in the area, it's going to be Williamson County, number 1 down south. Next would be Mount Juliet, Wilson County, and some of the Lebanon area that has good schools that go to Wilson. But again, this isn't me talking, you can go to greatschools.org, you can go many places and check on it. But in general, those are going to be number 1 and number 2 best counties if public school system is very, very important to you. But that aside, knowing that, that's a big reason that Williamson County and Wilson County have both had massive growth and massive growth in price of homes, because if you don't have to pay $15,000 to $20,000 per child for a private school, you got 3 kids, you can save yourself a good $60,000, $70,000 annually for that full 12 years to have your kids in a really good school district. So many things are so important in figuring out the best communities, the best neighborhoods for you. That's why I implore you, reach out to me. This is why so many people are calling, texting, helped hundreds of people in the last couple of years, my partners and I, and we're helping you find the right places all over Middle Tennessee. We need to know exactly what you need, what are your priorities, and we can help you finding that perfect place. So I am Susan Thetford. I am not crying, I promise. My allergies are the pits. Everybody's heard about those though. And no, tornadoes is the next thing that people always ask me about, and I can tell you that one doesn't really concern me. But there you go. Reach out to us. Till next time, go ahead and subscribe. Every single week I do a new video. It may be the pros and cons. It may take you to Brentwood. It may be sharing with you best home values under $600,000. Maybe showing you the best 55 plus communities. You never know, and I'm not telling. So go ahead and subscribe. See you next week.